So, in the world of motorsport, for those who are somehow unaware, there are 3 Triple Crown races. There's the Monaco Grand Prix in Formula 1, which is the most prestigious of the 3, although for some reason when the F1 title also counts towards the Triple Crown. There's the Indianapolis 500 over in IndyCar, which is probably the most dangerous out of the 3, given they are going over 200 miles per hour around an oval, with the crashes sometimes being dramatic. And there's of course the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which in my opinion is the hardest to win out of the 3, even in a Toyota, as due to the fact that the race is 24 hours long, hence the name of the race, your car has to be able to last for 24 hours straight with minimal failure. And I say minimal because even if you have a breakdown during the race which forces you to go into the garage, you could still have a chance of winning. Take the 2017 running of the race for example, where the number 2 Porsche won that race despite having to serve time in the garage, although this was slightly aided by all the other LMP1 cars retiring, which as a result nearly saw an LMP2 car win outright. The race has produced some memorable moments, such as McLaren taking the last outright win in a GT car, to even this year's race, which saw numerous lead changes and the weather playing a part in it. However, the moment that we are going to be talking about today involved what is considered in my opinion to be the biggest heartbreak in motorsport history, the last lap breakdown of the number 5 Toyota. The 2016 24 Hours Le Mans would be the 84th running of the famous race. Going into the race there were 9 LMP1 cars entered, which consisted of 2 Porsches, 2 Toyotas, 2 Audis, 2 Rebellions and 1 Bicoles. Yes, the same Bicoles that ran the failed Van Wall hypercar program in 2023. Thank God the FIA rejected their application for 2024. And in typical Bicoles fashion, they were forced to start at the back of the pack, behind the GTE classes, as a result of all 3 of their drivers, which were Simon Trummer, Pierre Caffer and Oliver Webb, failing to set a time within 110% of the pole sitter. Speaking of the pole sitter, that distinction went to Porsche, who were the reigning winners going into this event, having ended fellow VW team Audi's run of victories. Not only did Porsche grab the pole, but they were also able to lock out the front row, with the number 2 car of Marc Lieb, Romain Dumas and Neil Yarny beating the number 1 car of Timo Bernhard, Brendan Hartley and Mark Webber to pole by 4/10 of a second. Behind them, it was a case of 2 by 2, with Toyota locking out the second row, Audi locking out the third row, and Rebellion locking out the fourth row, being over 3 seconds behind the 3 manufacturer works teams. Then again, it could be worse, you could be Bicoles. The race was scheduled to start at 4 PM CET on Saturday the 18th of June, or 3 PM BST for those that live in the UK and Ireland. However, whilst the race did get underway at that time, the race started behind the safety car due to torrential rain that affected the start of the race. The safety car stayed out for quite a long time, until finally after 53 minutes and after the track conditions had improved, the safety car came in and the cars were finally able to race each other. The number 2 Porsche was able to get a great start and hold on to the lead, whilst the number 5 Toyota of Anthony Davidson, Sebastien Buemi and Kazuki Nakajima ended up dropping to 6th behind both Audis and started to lose ground. Elsewhere, their teammates of Stefan Sarazan, Mike Conway and Kamui Kobayashi were able to pass the number 1 Porsche at the second Mulsanne chicane and then overtook the other Porsche at the end of the 8th lap to take the lead. However, during the pit stop stages, both Toyotas would have slow stops, allowing the Porsches to regain the lead. But thankfully for the number 6 Toyota, they were able to get themselves back towards the front, as after the leading number 2 Porsche was forced into the garage due to an issue with the turbo and hydraulics, they found themselves behind the number 1 Porsche, who had assumed the lead from their teammates. The pair of them would trade the lead throughout the pit stop cycle before darkness fell, with the Toyota able to extend its stint, meaning it could do 1 less pit stop than the Porsche. During the night, it became clear that it was going to be a straight fight between Porsche and Toyota, as Audi fell away from the battle. The number 5 Toyota and the number 2 Porsche, despite its issues earlier, had got themselves into the fight for the lead. However, later on in the night, Porsche would be down to just one car, as whilst the number 83 AF Course Ferrari went straight on into the gravel, the number 1 Porsche, after handing the lead to its teammate, was forced into the garage due to an issue with the water pump and would end up in the garage for over 2.5 hours, putting himself out of contention for the win. As night turned to day, the one remaining Porsche and the 2 Toyotas were still fighting for the lead, with the 2 Toyotas leading the way, followed by the number 2 Porsche. However, any chance of a 1-2 for Toyota would go down the drain, as after they had built a comfortable lead ahead of the number 2 Porsche, the number 6 Toyota, that was driven by Kamui Kobayashi at the time, would lose the back end at the karting corner and end up in the gravel, handing second place to the number 2 Porsche. The number 6 Toyota would get going again, but would later put itself out of contention when it was forced into the garage due to floor damage that was caused during the night after a collision with a slower car. This put the number 6 Toyota 3 laps down, and it became a straight fight between the number 5 Toyota and the number 2 Porsche. With 6 minutes to go, the number 5 Toyota had a very comfortable lead ahead of the number 2 Porsche, and was looking set to take victory. However, as it arrived at the Mulsanne straight, it was very clear something was wrong, as Nakajima, who was driving the car, was not hitting 200 miles per hour down the straight. Then, 2 minutes later, the worst was to happen, as Nakajima would begin crawling to a hole and would come to a stop on the start-finish straight just after he crossed the line to start the last lap. It was a gutting and heartbreaking moment, as Toyota's first ever win at Le Mans was taken away from them as a result of the connector line in the car failing to link up with the turbocharger and the intercooler. This handed the lead and eventual victory to the number 2 Porsche, who would come through to take Porsche's 18th overall win at Le Mans, to the surprise and shock of the entire Porsche team. The number 6 Toyota, despite being 3 laps down, finished in second as a result of their teammate not being classified due to not finishing the race within 6 minutes, and the number 8 Audi, despite being 12 laps down, finished in third. Porsche retained their crown from the previous year's race, however it's safe to say that they only achieved that via luck. There have been many heartbreaking moments in the history of motorsport, from Dan Camish losing his first BTCC title in 2019 thanks to a brake failure, to Charles Leclerc missing out on his first ever win at the 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix thanks to engine issues. However, I don't think any come as close as this one. To be metres away from not just winning the race, but also taking Toyota's first Le Mans win with only 1 lap remaining, to have it being taken away through no fault of anyone, is just gut-wrenching for any fan watching. Thankfully for Toyota, after many failed attempts previously, even during the 90s, they would finally get their first ever Le Mans win in 2018 thanks to Sebastien Buemi, Kazuki Nakajima, and the one and only Fernando Alonso. And yes, I know Toyota was the only manufacturer competing during this time, because both Porsche and Audi had pulled out at this point and they were competing with independent teams, but as mentioned earlier in the video, you have to have a reliable car throughout the 24 hours to be able to grab victory. Having a dominant car doesn't guarantee you victory in Le Mans. Toyota's streak would come to an end in 2023, when Ferrari, on their return to top-flight sports car racing, would take their first Le Mans win in nearly 60 years, despite the controversy over the late BOP change. Toyota will be looking for their revenge in 2024, as they will be looking to take the Le Mans crown back, although for their sake, they'll be hoping a 2016 moment doesn't happen to them again.